Let's go ahead and get going. We've got a pretty interesting meeting tonight, but before we get to the main event, we do have some business to go over. There's been a lot of things going on. I am recording this. It will be edited lightly and hopefully posted to the website fairly soon after this meeting. I do want to officially welcome Trio Wilson, Rocky Yeager, and Bill Lee to the board. They were officially elected and now are actively participating. Board activities lately, we have applied for some federal funds, which I hope will cover the cost of a complete overhaul for our website. And if we get the funds, we will have to do that by the end of the year. So we'll have to hit the ground running if we are fortunate enough. I believe if we get the funds, we will know about that within the next 2 weeks. On the topic of funding, Bill Lee has been doing some fundraising on his own. I don't know the results of that yet, but he has sent a very compelling letter to a number of his friends asking them to match his donation, which is considerable. As far as members go, do we have any new members online other than Francie? We have picked up a few new members in the past month or two.
Anna Margaret?
Anna Margaret, are you a new member?
I've never joined your group before, but I've heard about it for years.
Well, it's getting more interesting every month, I hope. So,
and I'm new too. I haven't joined you yet.
Wonderful. Well, welcome.
Good.
In one of our upcoming meetings, I think we should just allow all the new members to give us a real short presentation so we all get a chance to understand who does what.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Shelley, can you update us on finance and social media real quick?
Yeah, sure. As far as the bank went, the last quarter report was very smooth. No issues there, so we're up to date. And in the bank, we have $1,018. As far as social media, we are up about 20 followers with 493, and the last post was promoted and did quite well with 196 likes. So it was well received.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Good job.
So we are a volunteer organization. That's what makes things run. So if you're a part of the organization, you are automatically a candidate to volunteer. I'm going to let Andy talk to us about some of those opportunities.
Yes, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh,
Yeah.
terrific. Well, good evening. And yes, I'm the chairperson of the volunteer committee, and consider yourselves contributing tonight. Anytime we connect with each other, we're a stronger organization, and all of the board members are volunteering their time, and all of the side projects we have going on, the website development, social media contributions, things like the calls to artists, which Chaz, you just sent us an email looking for help with. We'd like people to step up in a few different ways like that. If you know what the calls to artists project is, or are familiar with the phone, the membership phone project that we have going on, trying to reach out to everybody in person on the phone. There are a few opportunities like that for people to get involved with. Something that we have a particular need with is tracking our material assets, which are mostly in a storage unit that's down by Johnson Creek at a storage locker. Somebody to track that material and check it out to people as needs be. That's things like the pedestals that we have at our shows, some freestanding walls, and a variety of other materials that members can access. We need somebody to track those materials. So there's a few opportunities like that. And of course, hosting meetings like tonight. That's a way you can step up and get involved more. So I welcome anybody who's interested in putting in a little extra time, just maybe a couple of extra hours a month, to contact me, and I'll try to point you in the right direction. How about that?
Thank you, Andy. So, I mean, as he said, you know, a lot of these tasks only take an hour or two a month, but right now the board is carrying a lot of those, which means a lot of us putting in a lot more hours than we would like to. Everything you do is a benefit to everyone else, so that's great. Sue is here. Hi, Sue.
Hi, guys.
Thanks, Sue.
Hi.
Can you give us a quick update on members? How many do we have? Who's new? Any information?
We're still under 100, guys, so, you know, invite a friend. We're about 91, 88, and more people. This is actually a time, I think this is the second time during the year that we have lots of renewals, but new members are my favorite thing. No, I love the old people. Hi, guys.
Hi.
I like Granny.
So can you give us a quick overview of the member contact survey that you and your team?
Outreach, yes. We have what do we have? We have 5 people doing these phone calls, unless Wade's doing some, which I don't think. And we're just calling members and saying, how you doing? Because we all realized that we really like a phone call these days and an interruption to whatever I'm doing during the day. So it's been a grand opportunity to speak with our friends and new people and catch up and learn what's what. And I think a lot of us are cheering one another up.
That's
What are
why,
you doing for sculpture? And yes, go ahead. You're Ann Margaret.
that's why I'm here.
Good. Well, welcome.
Good. On communications, we have another newsletter coming out soon, and George has suggested that 1 or 2 more articles of up to 500 words would be wonderful. If you could accompany those with some photos. All topics are open. New work, shows, your process, your resources, even aesthetics, articles on observations. Everyone has a unique perspective in this group, which is what I love about it. It's a very eclectic bunch of people. And the insights that some of you have are things the rest of us would never have thought of. So do not underestimate the value of what you know. Again, you know, it only takes an hour or 2 to draft an article and put a few images together. But if you're inclined, please get something to George in the next week. And that will make our newsletter just a little bit richer this time. Before I turn things over, we have a couple of new, we have a board meeting coming up Friday. Anyone interested is welcome. It's at 10 a.m. It's another Zoom meeting. If you're interested in joining, it's the same login as this meeting, or you can send me an email and I'll make sure you get an invitation. Our next regular member meeting is the 4th Wednesday of September. And again, you'll be getting invitations for that. Before I ask Dave to chime in here, I got an email earlier today from Paul Blanchard, who lives near Tacoma. He has a block of marble that he's willing to give away. It is 27 inches by 20 inches by 8 inches. I have a photo if anyone is interested. Let me know. I think it's yours for the taking. All you have to do is go get it. Yes, Sue? You're volunteering to go get it?
I'm interested. Hey, Paige.
Okay.
Hey, guys.
MJ.
His phone number is 253. 222 0400.
00. And what's his name?
Paul Blanchard. I'm sure he would love to
Great.
hear from you.
Yeah.
He said if I don't find something to do with it, I'm going to break it up and throw it away.
Oh,
So
no.
jump on it.
I'll
Dave,
text him tonight.
Dave, do you have any announcements? Did I overlook anything? How are we doing?
Think we covered it well. Appreciate that. I think we're trying to keep up on the business side. So the other, this is, remember, as you guys as members, this is your opportunity to give us feedback on things we're working on. So if you've got some ideas or some feedback on some of the projects we're doing, we are definitely looking for your input. That's part of what Sue and her team's doing to outreach to you guys to kind of get a better feel and pulse of what you're doing. But this is also an opportunity. So let us know. And other than that, I think we're ready to move on. And
Great. We had a wonderful planning session in February, just before everything went crazy. And with a very, very engaged, active board, we have made some pretty ambitious plans to increase membership, to increase funding, to increase activities. And then everything shifted to virtual. So I think we're getting back up to speed here pretty quickly. And I'm really grateful for the really awesome board that we have. But again,
Can I interrupt you a second, Chaz, and just say from the farther northern reaches that don't get to go to the meetings and miss all of my friends in this group, your virtual stuff, you're the only ones doing it. And I just want to say thank you so much. You're doing a great job.
wonderful, wonderful.
Wow. Thank you.
Maria's going to be our host for one of our upcoming meetings, so we'll get to see what she's working on. Jerry, did you have something for us?
George
No,
or Terry?
No, I was just commenting that I'm glad that Maria's doing some things here. Just saying hello to her, basically.
Jerry, you
All
were the first person I met in that group, my first meeting, and I will always remember how welcome you made me feel. And hi, Paige, I miss you. And everybody else, Alisa and everyone else. Great to see you guys. I wish I could figure out how to get my picture up there, but you don't really want to see it anyway. So we'll figure that out another time. Anyway, that's enough. Bye.
So talking about feeling welcome, one of the first people I met when I joined this group was Alisa Looney. And she and Wade Womack are an incredibly talented couple. I believe it was the show we did at Newport a couple of years ago when I had a chance to dance on the beach with Alisa. She made all of us go dance on the beach with her. But I asked her, you know, how does somebody with a dancing background get into heavy metal as a sculpture meeting? And her answer just stunned me. She said, well, I like to dance and I wanted to build something big enough that I could dance around. And I thought that was inspired. So I would describe Alisa as a joyful person. I mean, that is just the epitome of what I think she brings to this group. She and Wade have a wonderful presentation for us this evening, and I am, Wade being the quieter of the two, I was not familiar with a lot of his work. He's a multi-talented individual from creation to restoration, and tonight we're going to get to see some of his kinetic pieces, and we're going to get to see their studio in Bend and what they do and how they do it. So Alisa, Wade, take it away.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chaz. We're excited to have you all here and get to share our place with you. And a lot of it will be through photos because, you know, that's the easier way to look instead of wandering around. I'm Alisa Looney, and
I'm Wade Womack.
and we've been here 2 years this month.
Mm-hmm. We're happy to show you guys around.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here, and we are so excited that we get to see you all online this way. We've missed you. So this is our studio. We've opened for workshops, and we make work here, and
we now are building online classes and all of our mediums, well, a couple of our mediums.
Mhm.
And due to the coronavirus outbreak, we're trying to get those going. It's taken us a while.
Yeah, and like at the beginning, we had this big plan at the first of the year of how we're going to hold all these workshops and everything, and then COVID happened. We
Yeah.
couldn't see having anybody here, so we've had to switch to trying to do online.
Yeah, well, we're almost there. So we're hoping to launch this fall. So you guys will all hear about it. You know me, I'm used to be a promotion queen until COVID too. So this is our home behind us here, and that's the little red cabin in the woods. And this is where our gallery is, which is in our home. We open it up about 3 or 4 times a year for open studio events and tours, studio tours. That's a lot of fun.
And this is a picture. You can see our studio down here and our house up the hill. And this is the canal that runs along the back of our property.
And then these are the spaces. You want to share about this one?
Well, sure. So this is my printmaking space, but also I do my other art here. Over here on the right side. And then over here in the middle, this is our kind of where we give our classes. And also we got a back bench here that we do our classes. And Alisa's, it's kind of dark, but that's her kiln area. And back here, and it's walled off, is her metal shop.
Yeah, and Wade didn't mention it, but he also does matting and framing in this space too, when we need it. And then this is another view of the kilns. That shows the big kiln being used for larger pieces. And then you can see another view of the bench and the table and the kilns. And see those 2 windows, that's one of the best parts of the studio, looking out at the canal. So we hope to build a deck out there soon, and then we'll have an outdoor space too. This is our metal shop down at the bottom here. We share this too. And
mostly you use it.
did I skip one? I skipped one. Sorry. Okay.
And we've held several workshops here. Sometimes we'll do combination workshops where I'll do some printmaking, and because it takes time for the inks to dry in order to do a second layer, then Alisa will take over and do some enameling, and then we'll get back to the printmaking. And this is some pictures of some people who came here from Portland and Chicago, and we gave a workshop for them.
Some of them very good friends of ours. And then here's an example of enameling workshop. A couple different ones again. There's the top left photo, they're designing their pieces, and then to the top right photo, I showed them how to cut them out with the plasma cutter, and they grind and sand and bend, and then down at the bottom on the left, we start spraying. Well, first we ground coat, then we spray the white. That's what this picture is, spraying the white, which is critical to be able to draw into it, which you can see the space then. And then here's one of our students having a great time, and then we fire it either in the small or the large kiln.
And something, beginning of one workshop, we did a little hike where at the very beginning we went down. This is just down the Deschutes at a place called Benham Falls, and we just did sketching. And it's a great way to kind of view nature and to look at it in greater detail, and notice a lot of things that are around in your environment. And then once we did the sketches, we brought them back, and they translated them into either prints or Alisa's enamels.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you some of my work. You probably know about my public sculpture, many of you. I'm going to skim through these pretty quickly. This is Going for Your Vision. It's in Lake Oswego in their collection. That selling of that piece allowed me to buy a lot of my welding equipment back in 2004, I think.
Yeah, something.
Heart Connection was designed or inspired by the design of our wedding rings, which Wade designed and I made. And it's about connecting through the heart spiritually and also remaining grounded and strong as individuals. Contact 1 and 2 are an effort to bring people together pre and post COVID. And contact number 1 is orange. It's in Cannon Beach in their collection, and the yellow one I still have, and it's available. Roll and Play is about helping people remember to play and roll around and dance and have fun like we did as kids. It's in the Maryhill Museum collection on their plaza. And Taking Flight is a piece that I dedicated to my father, who was a smoke jumper. It's in McCall, Idaho, pretty close to the lake there. And Crispell Jones Memorial was made for the Delta Sigma Theta sorority in Portland to honor their sister, who was key to building the June Key Delta Center, the first Black-owned LEED building, I think, in the country.
In the country, yeah.
And she passed away in the middle of the process, unfortunately. And these women were incredible to work with. Now I'm going to shift to enamel on steel. That's what I've been doing since 2010 as well, adding to sculpture. This piece is Body Memory. It's about, it's basically my life history, but it's a sample of what I do for others, to do biography pieces for them and people they love. This is one honoring Arma that I did for my mother. And on her skirt are drawings of many of the creative things she did in her life, making clothes for everyone for one, but also artwork herself. And she made beautiful gowns, and that she's wearing one here. And in the back, I'm holding her leg. That's her favorite part. Water Maiden is about honoring the water that we all share with the salmon and other creatures, and taking care of it, basically. Folding into Nature is about the coming to terms with climate change and how we all are basically folding into nature when we die. I can't tell. I'm not muted, am I? Okay. Sorry, guys. The computer told me I was muted, but it must have been for someone else. Anyway, this one is in the Alchemy 5 show right now up in Tacoma, Washington, which is a beautiful show of enamel. It's the International Biennial, and I think it's closing soon.
It's supposed to come down in May, but because of the COVID, they left it open.
Yeah, they left it open. Of course, they haven't been open, but it's a beautiful show. Sorry, you can't see it. Humility Rising is again about climate change. He's standing on a hurricane. This was made for the International Sculpture Day, International Sculpture Conference, Little Things show, a little sculpture show. And one ring is rising and looking for answers with eyeballs, and the other one is hard to pick up because we're so humiliated by what we've done to the planet. Healing Tree is about what we can do about it, plant trees and restore balance. It has a real seed pod in the middle. And Spirit Masks are about reminding us of places we love and cherish, things we love to do. They're made for that purpose. And the jewelry is one of the items I do a lot in the workshops. It's a smaller piece. You can try out different techniques, and I'm getting into these 3D pieces, small 3D pieces, which are really fun. I'm doing re-enamelware, where I'm re-enameling cups and pans and lids, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. This one has the mycelium network on the cup. This old roasting pan has the Mount Rainier from photos I took. And I'm not sure if you can see or if all the pictures are in front of this. I guess they are. That's called hanging in the balance, again, facing what we're facing. And then doing larger pieces. Actually, Ann Hart, you gave me these pieces to work on from her old stove. Thank you. This is an oven door and an oven drawer. And now we're going to shift to Wade, and he's going, I think, is this where you're going to do
Yeah.
the video?
This is where the video comes in.
Thank you.
So my name's Wade Womack, and I'm basically primarily a woodblock printer, but I also do something called total art, which we'll get into a little later. But Chaz is going to show, I have a video of the process of relief printing. And since I'm carving in wood in this little video, if it shows up, it's technically a wood block. Right?
Oh, as an ad first, maybe?
It is.
There you go.
Okay. So we sped this up quite a bit, but I'm just kind of, relief printing is essentially, it's the oldest form of printing, and the process is you're only going to print any raised surfaces. So I'm carving away all the areas that I don't want to print. So essentially, in this one, I did a drawing on the block, and then now I'm just carving around the lines that I drew. And you know, a lot of people have, you may have heard of vinyl cuts, and that's just the same thing, but it's done in linoleum. And you know, it can be done in a lot of different materials. The process is essentially, and why it's called relief, is it's any raised area. So you could actually just take a flat piece of something and start adding things to it too. You could add strings, anything that's raised off the top surface. You ink up a roller and roll it over the top, and so anything that's raised picks up the ink, and that's what prints. Mm-hmm. This method, this is the oldest form. It was what the Chinese used for their printing process. It's also, this is what Benjamin Franklin would have done, although, you know, those original newspapers, all the little art that was done was some type of wood block. And it wasn't lithograph. And intaglio actually came in. The Romans invented intaglio, and it was originally invented by the sword makers as a way to show the designs that they'd made. But here I am. We finally inked it up, and my process is pretty simple. You only need a spoon to rub it. You don't really need a press. So this is something that we all can do at home. You don't have to have a big clunky press. And this one, it's a simple relief printing, just one plate. And to add color, I just paint in the color. And this makes it what's called a monoprint.
Very nice. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the presentation.
And so here's another relief print, wood block. It's an entre les deux. And I just recently did a whole series doing Central Oregon birds. And these are all birds that we can see flying around here, and they're all monoprints. It's an example of an osprey. There's a flicker, which we see in our backyard all the time, checking out our feeders. And this is one we discovered, he's been coming around, is a black-headed grosbeak. But all the color on these is hand painted, so each one's going to vary depending on, you know, my hands and how I mix my inks and stuff, or my watercolors. And another way to get color into prints, it's essentially, I like to do something that's called reduction wood block print, and it's a, to get color you could do, say if you have 4 colors, you can carve 4 plates, and then you print each one separately. And with reduction blocks, you actually just use 1 plate, and what you do is you carve away what you want to be white, and then you print your lightest color in the first one, and then you carve away what you want to be your next color, and then you print your next color on top of that, and then you carve away what you want to be that color and print your next color. So it's a build-up process, but once you go, like say if I do 20 of the first plate, and then I start carving for the next plate, I can't do any more. I can't get that light color in again. So it kind of limits, when you have all separate plates, you can print as many as you want until your plates wear out.
So you're doing limited editions.
Yeah. And this, you know, I could print 100 off, you know, to start with. But once I start carving that second plate, I can't get any more.
But you usually do 20.
Yeah, 20, 25. It's because it's a hand rub process. It takes me a while. Just timing wise, it would take me forever to do 100. This is a reduction block called Clair de Lune. It's taken from a drawing I did of a full moon and from our backyard. And this is the Hoodoos. We did a trip to the Bryce Canyon, and I did some sketches. Another way to add colors, this is called the jigsaw method. And basically what it is to get the different colors is I first carved out the llama, and then I took an X-Acto knife and cut him out. And then I cut this border between the sky and the ground. And then I printed all 3 plates, or all 3 sections, different colors. And then I recombined them and rubbed it. So it was only rubbed at one time. And this is another example. This one I did a black plate to go over the color plate. So I did the jigsaw method with the color plate, printed them up with the different inks, recombined them, printed it off, and then once that dried, I had carved a second plate and did it over the top of the colors.
And that's not wood, that's linoleum, right?
Yeah, because you have to cut it out, and you can do this in wood. I like to use a soft linoleum for this because I can use an X-Acto knife to cut it off. It's pretty easy and pretty controllable. You could, if you had a bandsaw or jigsaw, you can cut the wood out, but you usually get a little white gap around all the images when you recombine them. And through my study of art history, I became interested in something called total art. And I kind of got into it through the Dadaists. A lot of the Dadaists, there was a whole group of them, more of the technical Dadaists. What total art is it's trying to combine several senses into one piece. It originally got started around Wagner and his compatriots. There was a group of them that kind of were advancing the theories, but they did it only in opera. And it's about, song or musical, auditory, visual with the acting and the storylines. But the Dadaists took it more to a mechanical level. And I don't know, it's always just intrigued me that, I'm a visual artist. I do prints, which are 2D. But that it seems like there's more, and so I'm trying to figure out how to combine the visual with the sound, with time lapse, and this is a piece that Alisa and I did together. It was a fire pit we did, where I did the mobile part, and she did the metal fire pit part. And this is sort of the process of us doing the print, or the tip. You want to talk a little bit about it, Lisa?
Okay. The main body of the fire pit is made out of drops from my other sculptures that are around Oregon and Washington and Idaho. And Wade used the smaller drops from some of my smaller sculptures to combine with stained glass for the mobile. So you can see us standing here after we installed it at the Winterfest in Bend. That was a year and a half ago, I guess, in February. And here's where they're having a good time in the evening, freezing cold out. Everybody's just hugging the fires. And you can see over here to the right where it's sparking and reflecting light in the mobile.
And this is a piece I did for a friend who, their mother had died, and when she went on trips, she collected these bells. Every time she went on a trip, she'd buy a different bell. And they wanted to try to remember by, so I built a mobile that the wind blows around using stained glass, so it's catching the light. But as it spins around, the glass will hit the different bells and create them to chimes. So, and
Hey, the owner is here at the meeting
yeah,
of this one, Miss Ann Hart.
yeah, this one is it's kind of an experimental piece I was doing to try out some different concepts. But essentially, the wind catches these cups on this wheel and spins it around, so you get a nice pattern of the stained glass that kind of undulates, you know, as it spins around. But this back area, the fin area, is a collection of cones that collects sound for wherever it's pointed, and the wind will point it, so it'll always be opposite the wind. And it'll collect sound from your environment, and it channels it down to a cone. And you'll notice on this wheel that there are gaps, and they're varying lengths, so it's long, short, and it acts as a baffle. As it spins around, there's another cone that collects the sound from here and takes it down to the earpiece, so that it'll actually kind of create a rhythmic sound of the environment around you. And I kind of did this to try to get people to look. I mean, we are in our environment all the time, and there's all these things going on, but we just tend to ignore them. And by concentrating them and manipulating it, gets you to realize that there's a lot of music all around us.
Okay, so Wade's going to, up next after this presentation, we're going to stop this presentation. He's going to share his current kinetic piece he's working on, and then I'll do a short enameling demo, and then we'll have the Q&A. So, thank you. Let me get off of this here, stop share. And I'm going to make myself how do I make myself the big person?
Yeah.
Do I pin it, or do you guys have to pin me maybe?
If you're speaking, you're featured. So
I'm
just
speaking,
keep talking.
I'm featured. Okay, so hold on. There we go.
So here's one that I have in process. It's also wind generated. And we cut up an old bike, and it will fit on it. And as it spins around, there'll be kind of toned tubes, and the wheel there'll be things sticking up, and it'll create a melody as it spins around.
Very nice. I need to get that welded for him. He's got a nice bracket there. I need to get that done. So now I'm going to show you a real quick, short version of this, of how to scratch into enamel with the Sgraffito tool. So I'm going to, you can see this is like a very, here, let me get the light on here. You can see this is a very textured, can you see that? There you go. textured surface that I've sprayed onto a pre-enameled steel piece that's cut out in a circle. And I'm going to show you the tools here in a second. Get it a little bit closer. All right. So this is the pin tool. That's a handmade tool, or just a homemade tool, I should say, with a pin inside a pen. And I'm going to, whoops, I didn't put on my mask. Could you hand it to me? It's right up. Oh, that's yours. Okay. Always have a rule of wearing a mask when you're working with glass. Very important. Okay. You're all used to it by now, right? So this, you can see I've already scratched in a little bit of a design there using this very tool. I gotta get this light up a little higher. There, now you can still see it. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna do this. See how freely I can draw with that? Now when you look at it like this, you can't see the line that well. But when I tap it off over here to the side, there it appears. So you just kind of track where you are. You can see it better in person when you're actually doing it. But I'm going to show you a couple other tools. You recognize this pin nib. You probably all have used one at some time or another. I really like this because it gives you a real thick and thin. Larita, I see you're here, and when you were here, I didn't use the pin nib. I hadn't discovered it yet. But see how that creates such a nice line. You can write words with it, or numbers. Write the word, my favorite word, love. So you can see how that just does a beautiful job. And then another tool I love is this skewer, bamboo skewer, and it gives you a nice bold line. So wherever you want a little bolder line, you see my piece was moving just a touch there. That means my pen was getting a little bit loose. See how that's bolder? And then another tool is this multi-pin tool. Again, homemade tool with multiple pins. All of this I learned from my past professor, John Kilmaster. And this is a tool he made. And so you can, let's see if I can do it where you can actually see it. Drag that across there. So see how that gives you multiple lines all at once. The same with the nice comb here. Give myself much room for a comb, did I? Let's try it right here. So see, there's another type of comb. And if there's something that didn't quite reach, then I just take this and I touch it up a little bit. Maybe I'll make that bolder since it warrants it, okay? So that's basically, oh, one other thing I wanted to show you. So the toothbrush is kind of fun. It gives you a little accidental, sort of experimental texture. So you just touch this stuff, it's coming off. You know, this is the thing. That's why you want it pinned on carefully. And then, of course, I do this on 3D shapes, too. Then this will be fired. I can brush this a little bit first and say, oh, I want a little more exposed right there. So there you go. Let's turn it this way. So that you could do this on 3D objects as well. That's the wonderful thing about spray. And okay. So I think we'll open it up to questions now. Hi.
All right.
A familiar sight.
Thank you both for that. Was a wonderful demonstration. I'm really fascinated and excited about the way you both seem to work from 2-dimension to 3-dimension to 2-dimension to 3-dimension, and It's wonderful to see. Let's open this up to questions. Unmute yourself to ask, and then please mute yourself again so that we don't have too much chaos going on. But if you have a question for Alisa or Wade, let's hear it.
I just want to say thank you very much for opening up your place. It's amazing. You've got a great place there.
Oh, you're welcome. So happy you could come.
Yeah, it's great.
I want to take some classes.
Yay!
Alisa and Wade, were those the photos and the class videos stuff pre-COVID?
Yes.
No
Yes.
classes. Okay, well let me know. I'm getting a tent.
Fantastic. Lots of
Okay.
room for tents.
Okay.
Yeah, we, oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to answer you. We are developing online courses right now until the COVID vaccine is here. So I have asthma, so I'm very sensitive. I'm not going to be having multiple people around, unfortunately. Missing that very much, but
Yeah,
in
me
the future,
too.
we'll do that, Sue.
Me too. Good.
Did you have
Wade,
a
I have a
question?
question for you on your prints. When you're doing the, is it a regressive print that is that what you called it?
Reduction.
Reduction. So if you start off with a run of 20 prints with your first color,
Mm-hmm.
and then you recut and print again and recut and print again, how many prints come out at the end if you start with 20? I mean, you must lose some to registration or...
Well, registration, because it's all done on the same plate, registration is a lot easier. And I actually use nails, so I don't have any registration problems. It just goes back in the same spot every time. But sometimes maybe I'm a little lazier on the rubbing or something, and so I don't get a good rub. But I probably only lose one or two.
Really? That's amazing.
Well,
Go ahead.
I have some more questions for Wade.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, you guys. It's just wonderful. Really a great presentation, and what a spot. And well, I guess it's 3 questions I have, but 2 for Wade, which is I noticed that a lot of your titles are French, and I was wondering why that is.
Oh, well, I went to school in France, and I just have had an affinity with France.
The art school?
No, well, I actually went on an exchange program when it was a liberal arts program. We actually studied archaeology and anthropology.
Cool.
And he learned to cook really well.
That's a great answer to my question. And then the second one was, you do watercolor on the prints. Do you use, can you do that on printmaking paper, or do you use watercolor paper?
No, printmaking paper. I don't think watercolor would be hard to print on unless I had a press. If you have a press, you can use watercolor paper, no problem. Yeah. But doing the
watercolors work?
Yeah, they work. Some of the rice papers, because it's a kind of thicker lines on the Japanese paper, it absorbs it kind of funky. And sometimes it turns out it works really well because it gets kind of a molted look. But just your standard commercial done papers, because they beat up the pulp so much that it's thin layers, there's no problem watercoloring it. You do have to be careful not to do too much water or you get rippling, but sometimes the rippling's not that bad anyway.
Yeah, your washes were really delicate.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so my third question is kind of for the 2 of you. It's something about, do you find that it's an advantage to be a partnership of both artists? Have you found any disadvantages?
Well, yeah. No, I think it works out really well because, we're kind of in different disciplines. So that, like Alisa helps me out in my welding part of it, or, I'm building these things and there's things that I don't know that she knows.
Yeah, we kind of have different skill sets, which he's talking about. Some overlap. We did meet in the print department, actually. But I think I wouldn't be with somebody who wasn't an artist. That's what I decided when I was young. So, and we've been together 35 years. So if that answers your question.
Well, sometimes we want to, I mean,
there are difficulties.
We're both struggling artists. It'd be nice to have somebody who had a nice, steady income.
Yeah, where's that income? That's what we need. Yeah, we need a third partner.
But it makes us sympathetic of what each one's going through.
Yeah.
Question?
Yeah, Katie?
I'd like to know on the enameling, you say you sprayed something white on the metal. What is that you sprayed?
I sprayed glass. It's in a liquid form, and I'm actually spraying it onto a pre-coated piece of metal that already has a layer of glass on it. Usually, although copper you can spray directly without having a coat. But steel, you have to have a ground coat on first, and that's a black coat. And then like this one, here's one that's got a different technique on the pre-enameled. This is a pre-enameled steel plate. That's what I sprayed the white on in the case, the sample I gave you.
Okay.
A different technique on it. But I also form metal and then coat it and then spray it. And that's how I do my sculptures. So I'm spraying with a auto touch-up sprayer, paint sprayer. And it has to be big enough to handle the glass particles and also fine enough to give you a good spray. So that's one of the courses I'm building right now to teach that. And I have been teaching in person. Larita's here. You took one of my workshops here, didn't you? I think Anna's done it too. Ann Hart has done it with me.
I want to know if it could be done on a different material gets fired, like clay, for instance.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think you could spray glazes for sure. I'm sure ceramic artists are spraying glazes every now and then. Are they, Andy? I don't. You're muted.
You're muted, Andy.
Andy.
Did we just lose him?
No, he just moved down.
Oh, he moved.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. People do use like a airbrush kind of rig for applying glazes, and especially like underglazes that are just kind of like pigments without a whole lot of other substance in the body. So the answer is yes. You can
with glass?
Spray glass onto ceramic.
But with a glass spray?
Well, glaze. Ceramic glaze is basically glass. It's a silica-based compound.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, most glazes are. I mean, it's different if you're working in a low fire range around 1200 degrees or a high fire range around 1900 degrees. But glazes are basically glass, if that makes sense.
Great. I didn't know. Thank you.
I have a question for you, Larita. Did you see your picture? Did you see?
I did not. I
You
did
missed
not.
that part. You'll have to watch the recording.
Okay, I will. I will. Yeah.
Billy?
Yeah.
You have a question?
Yeah, Alisa, I'd love to ask you about your work with the found objects and the pans and things like that. Are you attracted to them for their shape, or is it because it's a found object and it's just kind of happenstance, or is there a deeper context in why you're using those materials?
It's both. I do have so much fun looking for fun shapes, and they are pre-enameled. It saves me a lot of time in terms of getting something created that people can afford a little bit easier. by the size, I guess. I love this. I love I didn't show you, but I have some that I'm doing with racks, and they have holes in them, and they're just really interesting. So I'm having a lot of fun with those. And it's also kind of my way of recycling, I guess. And what I'm noticing is in thrift stores, people are really getting rid of a lot of the enamel stuff, the roasting pans. And I love that they already have a frame like built in. So if it's like a pan or something, but yeah, sometimes I struggle with the shapes. It's a challenge because there's like a handle and you got to figure out what to put on there and make it work. But it's also how to fire it without destroying it, and hold it in the kiln properly. So there's a lot of challenges with them too. I really prefer making the sculpture from raw steel and doing enamel on that. It just takes a whole lot more time. So that way I can keep working. I can have a whole bunch of stuff pre-sprayed and have something to work on without.
Alisa, have you ever created a sculptural shape and then went to draw on it and figured out that you couldn't reach certain areas with your tools?
Yeah, it's hard to reach certain areas. So usually what I do is I'll do some kind of like abstract business in there, and have it kind of gradual fade into just the spray, or I might do a gradation with the spray, or so. Yeah, there's a lot of spots you can't get very well on the inside especially.
Yeah, I really can appreciate the complexity of it after just seeing your little demo.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think you'd have fun with it.
I want to come for a class.
Awesome.
I don't want to do an online class. I want to.
Awesome. You could totally do it.
I will for you, but I'd much rather be there.
I know. Me too.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to know how big Turning Inward was. The Wade sculpture.
Yeah, it was the tidal wave. Turning.
Yeah, the tidal wave one.
Oh, the folding into nature. It's only about this big. It's only about, I think it's 12 inches, 13 maybe at the biggest diameter.
Yeah, good. And I also wondered if, Wade, if you ever got to know Manuel and his wood carvings.
No, Manuel, no.
Esquardo?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but we have a friend who used to help him with the sculptures. But.
Yeah,
the only book I have down here from there is, I don't know if you can see this, but see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have that.
Do you? Oh, then let Wade see it, because you just see like all of his little techniques, like he would do dots and things, like point things and just, so. But I really, really like your work. I love that it's in wood too, Yeah.
I really love wood. I always start off with an idea, and the wood has its grains, and me to go different areas, and it seems like it always comes out better than my original drawing just by working with it.
That's exactly like what Manuel would say. Like his tool just starts taking itself on a little travel. Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you take his classes?
No, but my mother was Fred Lippman's girlfriend forever, and Manuel was his student. So I kind of like knew him like from then, and then so I just kind of like I did a lot of the grinding and the making molds and plaster and stuff like that with him. So.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I heard he was really mean to his girl students.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. I took a lot of classes from Manuel. And he was my supervisor. And he was
There are mixed reviews, I've heard, yes. My friend and fabricator Kevin Moore, who you all have met, I think many of you have met,
Was his right arm man, yeah.
who welded my large scale pieces. We worked together on those. He was Manuel's assistant for 6 years.
He was a right arm man, yeah, really, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Good.
Folks,
Well,
we're getting close to the end of our hour here.
I had one more question. I was
Yeah,
gonna
go
ask, like on the wood carving of the fruits, could you have just painted right on the wood and then printed it?
Oh, yeah, you can. Lee Krasner used to do that a lot. She did a lot of wood blocks, and she did the jigsaw, plus she also would just paint right onto it and print it that way. And she did a lot of, and that's, you'll see the wood pattern will show up, but that's because she was just doing raw wood, and it would take the inks, it would be lighter and darker depending on how dense the grains were, so that it would print up like that.
Of course, that was a wood block, not a
when I
do it online.
When I did the fruit, I did the soft linoleum because I was going to cut it apart with an X-Acto knife.
Yeah. But you prefer wood?
Oh yeah, well, I prefer wood for carving, and it also prints better. The soft linoleum kind of gives a little bit, so you don't get quite as clean, crisp lines, especially with the finer lines. It's hard to keep the trying to to keep from having overprinting on the real fine lines.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I bet it smells better with wood too, huh?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Love to see your house and everything.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Well,
Very good.
Thank you.
Melissa, Wade, thank you for a really wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Well, thanks.
You put a lot of time into it, and
Excellent.
And it's apparent. We really appreciate that. Reminder again, the board meeting is Friday at 10. If anyone would like to attend, let me know. Weekly meetups are every Wednesday at 7. No agenda, show and tell, anything goes. We've had some interesting discussions. You never know what direction those are going to go. Volunteer ops, if you have an hour or two a month to spare, if you're inclined to volunteer, Andy will probably find something that aligns with your interest, which will make it feel a lot less like work and a lot more like fun. So please consider volunteering for something, and we all appreciate that.
Well, thank you all for coming. It was such a blast.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
It was great. It was really great.
One more thank you I would like to acknowledge Dave for being such a fantastic vice president. He keeps me on track. He keeps me, it just reminds me of the things that I promised I was going to do, and he does it all so tactfully. I truly appreciate it. All right, everyone. Have a good evening.
All right,
Have a
thank
good
you.
evening.
Bye.
Thank
Bye, everybody. Bye.